Welcome to Brown's Neighborhood Podcast. We got brother Kemo in the house. As long as I've been knowing Kemo, I don't even know his real name. Kemo, let me ask you your real name. What's your full name, Kemo?
My name is James Philip Hall. Kemo.
Oh, James Hall.
Right.
Yeah.
Kemo is still James, but in Hawaiian language.
All right. So, James, where did you kind of grow up? You grow up in L.A.?
Yes. Well, I was born in Hawaii, but I grew up in L.A. from starting when I was like 3 years old.
You grew up in Hawaii?
Well, I was born in Hawaii.
You was born in Hawaii. You can sit back and relax.
Okay.
Mike gonna hear everything you say.
I was born in Hawaii in August the 4th, 1956. But my father was in the Navy for 22 years. He did 2 tours of duty in Hawaii. So we left. We left the first time I was like 6 months old. And then he had duty to go back, and so then I was when he went back, my sister was born next in 1962. So all in all,
was your sister born here?
No, she was born in Hawaii too.
Boy, what?
Yeah, my sister Tracy was too. But in between that, my brother Sheldon was born in Los Angeles.
Well, let me ask you a question. You was born in Hawaii, and once you left Hawaii, did you ever go back to Hawaii?
We went back. I went back again. I was about I don't know. I guess I was between 4 and 6 years old.
Oh, yeah?
Because when we came back, I remember when we came back the last time I was 9 and going to the 4th grade. So all that moving around, our military families are.
Right. So what when you got to Cali and you kind of got settled, where were you living at then?
Okay, when we came back when I was 9 in 1965, I was on 83rd in Normandy.
83rd in Normandy?
Yes, 83rd in Normandy.
Neighborhood was pretty cool?
The neighborhood was a lot different. It was slower. It wasn't no drive-by shootings. It wasn't no lot of murders. It was some crazy stuff that would happen. But in those days, you didn't have to worry about going down the street and being scared like you're gonna get shot going to the store to get your merchandise for your house.
Right. So was it a mixed area at that time?
At that time, it was whites, it was Hispanics, and it was blacks. It was so common to have a white friend or a neighbor. It was just the way life was. Because I had 2 white friends, Marvin and Jerry. They were Jewish.
Is that right?
Yeah, they were Jewish.
And after a while, they left.
They left. When the Crip gang came out in our area, they was getting robbed and beat up, so their parents got them out of here.
Wow. Mm-hmm. It was a change coming.
Right, it was a change coming.
With gangs.
With gangs.
Did you ever join a gang?
Oh, yes. Yes, I did. I joined the A-Trade Gangsters. They were a group that controlled the area where I was living at.
Well, let me ask you a question, brother. Why did you join a gang after coming from a military family,
right?
A father that's raising you right, growing you up to do right, and you had no reason to join a gang? What made you join it?
Well, what it was, I wasn't looking at the big picture. All my friends had got into A-Trade Gangsters, and we were underground Crips first. And my friend Ray, and I was 15. He said, "Kemo, we're not underground no more. We're A-Trade Gangsters." I said, "What does that mean, Ray?" He said, "83rd, Kemo." I said, "Oh." So I fell into something because all the guys that I was hanging around with since I was in the 4th grade, I was just following them, not thinking it through.
Let me say this here. What junior high you went to? So I'm a see something here.
Bret Hart.
You went to Bret Hart. Mm-hmm. Bret Hart was a pretty tough school.
Yeah, it was.
Even then?
Even then.
Were they gang banging then?
Yeah, they were gang banging.
Kemo, so let me ask you a question, brother. Was you a leader or a follower? And you give me the truth.
I was a follower.
Okay.
I was a follower.
So you started gang banging because you following other guys.
But following other guys.
Instead of being your own man, or your own kid or whatever at that time.
Right. I had the only thing that I could see when I was in the 7th grade, I didn't know anybody at Bret Hart. They were taking my lunch money going upside my head. And so
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
They were taking your money?
They were taking my 35 cents for lunch.
How much?
35 cents.
Well, that was, pretty good little change for a kid at that time.
Right.
So that happened in the 7th and the 8th grade. Were they still taking your money?
Nah, I was learning. I knew how to fight then, so I was just knocking. I was learning how to knock them down.
You wasn't knocking nobody out.
I was getting pretty strong. I took after my father because he was strong, and I believe, I was getting his strength because I was his son.
Right.
Yeah.
So you wasn't a little bitty dude. You was a pretty nice sized kid.
Right.
So you started holding your own.
Right. Instead of getting bullied around.
But them gangbangers was gonna get you.
Yeah. I was blessed enough. I had a few times where I did get whooped up pretty bad, thinking,
And how old were you when you got whooped up pretty bad?
I had got my first car, a Chevy Camaro, and I had a job with Parks and Recreations on the CETA program. And
okay, hold on, relax. So you get in the CETA program. First, you got out of Bret Hart, right?
Okay, I jumped too fast. I went to Washington after Bret Hart.
You went to Washington, and once you went to Washington, were you in a gang at that time?
Yeah, I was. The Washington High School. They used to call the school the Washington High School Crips.
Okay, so hold on. How old were you when you joined?
15.
15-year-old, about in the 10th grade.
Right.
You got to Washington.
Right.
You're following the other guys.
Right.
The only way I can keep them off me is to join with them.
Right.
But you wasn't a bad one.
No, I wasn't a bully.
You wasn't a bully, but you wasn't nobody that was going to be out there really squabbling. Fighting.
There wasn't nobody really mess with me because they heard I was strong, and they knew they didn't really want to mess with my strength. Is what the talk. I didn't put it out there. They were talking about it like that. I didn't really look at me like that, Mr. Brown.
Okay, I don't know. So did you join the football team?
Yes, I did. I joined the football team.
You put on a uniform?
I put on a uniform. I was on the JV varsity team.
You on the JV?
JV, yeah.
You put on a uniform, though?
Yeah.
You put the helmet on?
Put the helmet on. Yeah.
Boy, they was smacking you, wasn't they?
I didn't really feel. I liked to tackle. Getting hit didn't bother me. I liked the contact.
Well, did you like hitting?
Yeah, I did.
Not getting hit.
I like hitting.
Did you hit hard enough that they moved you to varsity?
Yes
or no, Kemo?
No, I didn't stay long enough to be. I left. I would never follow things through.
You wouldn't follow them through.
Right.
And you're still doing some of that today.
Right.
Okay, so you joined the team. You didn't want to act right on the team.
Right.
So you quit.
Yeah. Yes, I quit.
You quit.
My family was mad at me. My brother used to come see me practice, and Mom's was mad. She, so she told on me when it was about 100 degrees, and I said, I'm not going to. And she said, Kemo, what you doing home? She came home through the front door, and she called the school.
You
and told
didn't want to go through the rigorous training.
Right, that's what it was.
So let's move on. You didn't want to go through the training. You done joined the gang. So if the gang got into something, were you gonna be down with them or you gonna run?
I was down with them.
Oh yeah,
I was down with them. What it was, we would protect the neighborhood where we were living. Is where
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. What did you have to protect? That's what I don't get. You protecting the neighborhood.
Yeah, my father said,
Kemo,
you guys keep this neighborhood square and don't no niggas come in here.
Man, look here, bro. There is nothing to protect. What do you mean you protecting the neighborhood?
We wouldn't let them dudes that come from the other streets or the other neighborhoods come in there and take over. We couldn't let them take over.
Wait a minute, man.
When you were a teenager, that's what it was.
Hold on. What group gonna come into your neighborhood and take over what?
Take over where we hang out at or where we go
so
to.
they just gonna come over, since y'all hanging in this area, we gonna take over so we can hang in this area?
If we didn't show no strength, they would have took over.
Well, we gonna move on. We gonna move on from that.
I mean,
we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
So now, did you graduate?
Yes.
So you did do good enough to graduate. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because your parents would have got you.
They weren't okay with it. They didn't like me smoking weed. They didn't like me hanging out late at night. I was going all the things that they didn't like.
So you didn't listen then?
I was hard headed.
You was hard headed.
I was hard headed. When growing up a teenager, why I don't know. The rest of my brothers, they weren't like that, but I was just different.
Everybody else was acting sensible, and you went and joined the gang, started doing drugs,
Right, weed,
smoking weed.
Yes, that's right.
In high school.
Yes,
But you did finish.
I did finish.
After you finished high school, you ready to enter the real world.
Right.
Did you have any direction you was going in?
When I went into the real world, I had no direction. I was still at home, not thinking about my future.
Not thinking about your future, just living on your mama.
Yeah, right.
Gang banging.
Well, I had got a job when I was after high school.
What kind of job did you get?
I got a job on. It was called the CETA government program.
Well, you don't get on the CETA program unless you do what?
Well, I had somebody in the office that got me in. My aunt Edith.
Listen to me. You don't get on the CETA program unless you are what? You don't just say, I'm going to go to the CETA program.
No.
Well, that's something offered through the county?
Yes, Parks and Recreations.
Well, how did you get to that? Were you going to the GR building?
No, I had an inside person helping me.
You had an
with my mother.
inside plug.
My mother, her and my mother were. It was from my mother's first marriage. My two older brothers' father, their sister, his sister. It's
We're not gonna go there because that's gonna get complicated.
Right.
So you had an inside plug to get a job through the CETA program.
Right.
I think my nephew mother might have got a job through that CETA program. Anything like that?
I'm not sure.
You don't know nothing about that. Okay, you pay attention to me, Kemo.
Right.
Kemo, let me just let y'all know a little bit about Kemo. Kemo is one of my good participants down here at the center, and he wanted to be on the podcast, and I just wanted to let him get out here and express his life, right? Because he grew up good, he just got in trouble following people, right?
Right.
Okay, so now you get in the CETA program.
Okay. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You get you a park and rec job.
Yes.
Now you on the right track. Working.
Right.
Getting paid.
Right.
How long did you stay at the CETA on park and rec?
3 years.
3 years. You working, doing good. How old were you?
When I started?
Yeah.
18.
So you was there till 21. Why you didn't stay?
Well, I got fired. I messed up with the office. Well, actually, I falsified a doctor's excuse, and they found out about it.
He falsified a doctor's excuse because you missed work.
Right, my attendants. They told me not to do that. If I did it, I would have to get a doctor's excuse.
Let me ask you a question. Why did you miss work?
Being lazy, smoking weed, and not wanting to get up.
Hanging with them guys?
Hanging with the same group.
Hanging with the same group instead of going to work.
Since I was 9 years old. Right.
You didn't want to go to work. You want to hang out and smoke weed.
Right.
What kind of sense does that make? You got a good job.
Good job.
Park and rec. I want to let these kids know. Go get you a job, or parents let your kids know about park and rec jobs. Because that's a good job, and it could lead to bigger things.
Right.
But Kemo wanted to hang out with his friends and smoke weed.
Smoke weed.
In that, you're hanging with your homies, and you got fired because of that.
Right.
Following
them. And
why you couldn't be your own man, and then I'll hang out with y'all when I get off work.
Right.
Couldn't you? You couldn't. Let me go to work, because everybody wish they could get a job. You had a good job.
I had a job before anybody in the neighborhood. Any of my friends, they weren't working.
Yeah, you had a plug in.
Right.
And you went and disappointed everybody.
Man, everybody, parents just letting them down left and right. But I didn't let it mess with me. But when you think about it as you get older,
well,
you
let
know
me
more
ask a question, Kemo. You talk real good. You seem like you graduated and all of that. Let me ask this question. Do you have any mental challenges?
Mental challenges. You know what? I'm glad you asked me that. The only I thought I did.
Kemo?
I went to prison a few times, and
Hold on. Were you ever diagnosed with any mental challenges?
No.
Okay. So now you growing up, you lose the job. You just mentioned you went to prison.
Yes.
For what?
For petty theft.
Who go to prison for petty theft?
Well, it depends on how your record is.
Okay. Hold up.
Yeah.
When did you do your first crime?
My first crime, and what I did, my first crime, I think it was 1997.
I don't want to know the year. About how old were you?
41.
You did your first crime?
At 41, I didn't go to jail till I was like 41.
41. Yeah. You gonna go all through your 20s, all through your 30s, and into your 40s.
Right.
Before you go and commit a crime.
Right. I lost my home, my wife left, everything.
God, dog.
Because
Hold
I
on,
wouldn't want to
man.
listen.
Hold on.
Look,
you got you a wife. How old were you when you got a wife?
I got married at 29 years old. She was 9 years older than me.
You got married at 29, she was 38.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so we can let me work with this.
Yeah.
You lost your job, the cedar job at 21.
Right.
What did you do after that?
I went to work. I went to the Charles Duncan. I went to Prudential Maintenance and got a floor stripper job.
You went to what maintenance?
Prudential Maintenance.
Who told you about that?
I heard about it. I forgot what company was. I can't remember exactly. The only thing I remember, my supervisor's name was Sam Mall.
Okay.
A Jewish
so you went down there. Did you fill that application out?
Yes.
And you got hired?
Got hired.
How long did you stay there?
I stayed there about Prudential and Charles Duncan Company about 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
How did you lose that job?
I didn't lose it. The county called me back for building services.
Hold on.
Well, not really called me back. I had the inside track again to get back on the county.
You be still in that chair, because you keep going from one side to another. You're making my eyes shift too much.
Oh, okay, I'll say it.
Yeah. So the county called you back?
No, not really. They didn't call me back, but I had an opportunity, inside office job again to get with building services.
Who gave you, who set that up?
My Aunt Edith.
Your mother?
My mother. Well, my mother from my mother's first marriage. That was her sister-in-law.
So let me say this: they hooked you up the first time, then you lost that job. Then you went and got a job stripping floors.
Yeah.
And then they hooked you up with another one.
Right.
So you had people helping you.
Yes.
You were blessed.
Yes. My whole life, really.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So now you went back to that county.
Right.
How long did you stay this time?
I stayed there 3 years.
3 years again.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened this time?
I left. I went to go work with my dad. I just quit. They couldn't believe it. I said, man, I must be tired of doing janitorial work or something. I got to go.
You going to leave a job that's making decent money with the county.
Right.
And you going to tell them, I'm going to go work with my dad.
Right.
That's going to pay you under the table.
No, I made more money with Pop.
But how did you get paid? Did you get paid through a company?
No, I was working for the company.
You was working for what company with your dad?
It was called the King Corporation, with metal and steel company. They would make steel pallets for different. They would sell them to different stairs and everything.
So your dad said, you could come work with me.
He kept coming over. I was staying with my kid. Kemo, you need a better job than that. That ain't shit. You need something better. He kept bugging me to leave.
But the county was good.
I know.
Not as hard labor.
Right. I was working hard. Boy, sometimes I worked 12 hours a day.
But when you went to the steel company?
Man, they paid me good once a week.
They paid you good?
Once a week.
When did you meet your wife?
I met my wife, I met Lois and, let's see.
No, how did you meet her?
Well, I met her. She moved on the street down the street from where I was staying. I had a family with my daughter and her mother and her two brothers.
Wait a minute, man. You don't start confusing me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
How did you meet did you have kids before you met your wife?
I had a daughter.
Okay, hold on. When did you meet that woman with the kid?
Oh, what, my wife? Oh,
Slow down, slow down. The woman you got a child with, did she become your wife?
no, I never married her.
Okay. When did you meet the woman? What's the woman name you got a child with?
Lorraine.
Lorraine. When did you meet Lorraine?
I met her when I was 16. She was 26.
When you were 16, you met Lorraine and she was 26.
Yes.
And you started going with her?
Yes. I hid from my parents because they didn't want me to mess with her because she was too old for me.
So were you screwing Lorraine when you were 16?
Yes.
So you started having sex in high school?
Yes.
And how long did you stay with Lorraine?
13 years.
You stayed with Lorraine 13 years?
Yes. Took us 9 years to have a baby.
So you was with her for 9 before you had the child?
Yes.
So you was living with her?
Uh-huh. Yes.
So you was living with her and still hanging out with the homeboys?
It's the same group.
And you got a woman at the house?
Yes.
You was spread it thin.
Right. And had other women in the streets, too.
You did?
Yeah, I had a lot of women.
What made you have a lot of women?
I thought that was the way to live. You can't just have one. You got to move around.
And Lorraine kept you knowing that you was doing that?
She knew it. She knew it, but she said, Kemo, you got to stay home sometime. Give me and your daughter a chance.
Let me say this, bruh. What woman 10 years older than you stay with you and you out there hoeing?
Right. Mr. Brown, when I was young, I didn't think things through. I would just react.
Women liked it you like that?
Yeah.
I mean, what did they like about you? What were you doing?
I remember 4 women liked me in the apartment building. I don't know why that happens to me all the time. I said they look at me like I'm the best looking. I don't know. I don't pay them no attention. I don't know why.
Did you have any money?
I had $15,000 one time. That's how I got lowest because I had 3 cars. I had a B210 Datsun. I had a 72 Ford Econoline van. Then I bought a K-Pi Silverado Blaze.
Hold on. God, no.
I had money.
Where you get this money at?
Workman's. I got hurt my knee, and I got workman's compensation.
On what job?
At the Hilton Hotel. I worked at the Hilton, too.
Wait a minute, man.
I had a lot of jobs.
How old were you when you started working for the Hilton?
I was like 26.
Okay, hold on. Stop this. So now you met Lois at 16.
Lorraine.
Lorraine at 16.
They stayed 3 doors down from my parents' house, her parents. That's how I met her on the block.
So these women stayed 3 doors from each other?
Yes.
Sit back.
Yeah.
Sit back. So now you a young man, you was dating, so she was really, what they call that when you with a youngster? You know, if a man is with a 16-year-old and he 26, he molested? So she was molesting you?
I thought it was fun, but I was drunk all the time and loaded off weed. I wasn't even, and it was the first time I started having sex.
When you started drinking, man?
I started drinking in high school. I was drinking, I started with beer with those tall boys.
Yeah, so you was drinking and smoking weed.
Yeah.
But you kept a job.
I always worked.
All right.
I always worked.
All right. So you stayed with this woman for 13 years. 13
years, yes, sir.
And what made you leave her?
I left her for Dolores. I fell in love with Dolores, man. She used to do, Dolores was a hairdresser. She used to do my hair. It was blocked from my apartment where she would.
She was doing your hair?
Yeah, she started doing my hair.
What she was doing in your hair?
The Jerry curls.
Yo, you had you a Jerry curl.
Mm-hmm.
Thought you was cute. you thought you were, what you want me to say, good looking? You was a good looking brother?
Don Juan. Yeah, I was. I look like mom and pop. They're good looking people. I got it from them.
Well, you. How old are you? 68.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You. I mean, with all the stuff you done been doing,
yeah,
your skin still look pretty good. And if you if you didn't do all what you be doing, you'll be all right. But we gonna get there.
Okay.
Because you, man, talking to you. I be reverse forward.
But you're finding out who I am. You're doing good. You didn't know all this stuff.
No, I didn't.
You didn't know.
So hold on. You seen Dolores, right?
Yeah, ooh, man,
She was what?
she was fine. Dang, she was so fine.
And
She was so pretty, man.
She made you leave the woman you had.
I couldn't believe it. I didn't mean to. She said, don't leave me, don't leave me.
And you left.
And I left anyway. I was crying because I missed my daughter. I was crying, hiding in the bathroom from her. I was crying because I missed Jamie. It wasn't easy.
And Dolores took you.
Yeah.
You started going with her.
Yeah, I married her.
You married her?
I married Lois. We got married twice in 1 week. You can ask me what happened.
Wait a minute.
Ask me what happened. You can just tell me. I'll tell you what happened.
Hold on, bro. How could you get married twice in 1 week?
We went downtown, then my mother wanted to have a surprise wedding for us at her house. I didn't have the heart to tell her I was already married. So I just did it twice. I said, Lois, we got to get married. She said, Kemo, we already married. I said, we got to do it again, Mama. I said, if I would have told her we married, that sounded like her heart would have broke. That's how close we were. We were real close.
So how old were you when you started messing with Dolores?
29.
Dolores. You started seeing Dolores at 29. Mm-hmm. Were you working?
I was working at the airport Hilton Hotel. I helped open it up. It wasn't even open when I got hired.
So how did you get hurt at the Hilton?
Hurt?
Yeah.
Oh, I was working in timekeepers area where they come in and punch in for the clock, and I was clowning, and the chair I reared back, man, and tore my knee. Was like it was ripped.
And how old were you then?
I think I was about 27.
27?
27.
So you were still with your baby's mama?
Yeah, I was still with us. I was right. When I got the money, yeah. Right.
So you was with the baby's mama when you got the money?
Yes.
So you started getting cars and...
Yeah, I had, right.
You ain't never had that much money before?
No.
And you just went crazy?
Yeah, I went crazy.
Just spending the money?
Right. Then,
spending the money?
Just spending the money.
Because you wasn't with the Hilton no more?
I went back.
They let you back after you done sued?
Yeah, they let me come back.
And how long did you stay there?
That's a good question. I stayed there 3 years. I stayed there 3 years.
Okay.
3 years.
So when you started seeing Dolores, were you still working at the Hilton?
Yes.
Did you still have any money?
Yes.
From that money?
That money, when I met Dolores, I still had money when I met her. That's probably why she liked me, because I had cars and money. She said, you know why? I couldn't see that.
You couldn't see it?
I couldn't see that, why she liked me so much. I said, damn, this
what lady don't like a man with money?
It was wearing me out.
All women like men with some money. He can be an ugly man and she'll like him, you know.
Yeah.
Huh, Buddha?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
He can be big and black like me.
Right.
Huh? Buddha?
Yeah.
Man, come on, baby. Hey, so you got with her.
Yeah.
And she was doing hair.
Right.
And you got married to her.
Yes.
Was that woman still living down the street with your child?
We moved. I got us a single apartment on the Century in Beaufort at the Khalil Apartments.
Because apartment on what?
On Century in Beaufort.
What city is that? Inglewood?
Inglewood, yes.
So you moved on over to Inglewood.
Yeah,
How long did you stay with her?
About 21 years, but we were...
Wait a minute, man. Hold on.
But we were separated most of the... I stayed under...
Hold on, Kemo.
Yeah.